joining us. Recognition. I'm going to motion to return to public session.
Move.
Roll call.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here. Thanks, Deb. As set forth in item G, opening statement on the agenda and board policy, the board welcomes public participation. There are two opportunities for the public to speak. The first is at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second is at the end of the meeting for other items. Please state your name and address when making a public statement. Please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we're going to start the evening off recognizing two of our Lady Hornets team, the girls varsity tennis and girls varsity volleyball. Way to go this year, girls.
You want to say a few words in advance?
No, I'm going to let you run with it, and I'll say something afterwards. How's that? Dr. Cascone's going to come start the recognition.
Yes, with Mr. Casal.
Okay, so welcome everyone. It's great to see our student athletes here, families and board members. So I'm just going to say a little something, and then I'm going to invite Mr. Casal up to speak, and then we're going to hear from our coaches before we welcome up our amazing student athletes to be recognized. So as far as the girls tennis team, you know, I've noted it on social media. You've probably seen it. It's a dynasty, girls. I mean, come on, let's call it what it is, an absolute dynasty. 4 consecutive group titles. That means they are, for 4 years, the best. Is it group 2 or group 2? Group 2, best girls group 2 tennis team in the entire state of New Jersey 4 years in a row. So let's give a round of applause. Super proud of you girls, and board and I are very much looking forward to recognizing you tonight. So with that, Mr. Casal, if you'd come up and say a few words before we introduce Coach.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great board meeting for the athletic department. Fall, winter, spring, we get to honor our exceptional student athletes and the effort they give both on and off the field. But tonight we get to honor their on-field accomplishments. Girls tennis, 4th year in a row. Right. It's the first year Coach Russell has not tried to retire on me during the summer. So thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. No, on a on a serious note, I mentioned that last year. Coach Russell does a great job with these girls. It's a strong program historically, but it's continued. Girls, I've been the athletic director here 4 years, and all 4 years we've been able to honor you, which is awesome. So this year, 15-2 record. You started off the season with a hard-fought defeat to start the year, and obviously did not deter you as you won 15 of your next 16 matches. So great job there. We made it to the Shore Conference Tournament semifinal, where we lost a close one to Rumson. However, the next week we played Rumson again, and we defeated them for the division championship, so we got our revenge there. And then the girls made a strong run as usual. They took out Manasquan in the sectional final, which was awesome, 3-2. And then in the group championships, you never really know what you're going to get because these teams are from all over the state. And you don't play them during the regular season. But the girls came through again, winning 3-2 victories over Haddonfield and Mendham, securing their 4th straight group championship. Congratulations, girls. I'm going to now introduce our tennis coach, Coach Russell.
I feel like I have my back. It's no matter where I stand, it's somebody, so I apologize for that. I think you said it all. I mean, you took all my thunder with all that stuff, unfortunately. All I know is that last year, after we graduated 4 very talented seniors, I was thinking, oh boy, 3 was great, but I don't know. Let's see what happens. Well, we come out again, got a bad start. We really weren't ready. It was like the last week in August. We really weren't ready for one of the best teams in the state. We lost 3-2, big deal. We then went on, and as Mr. Casal said, we lost one to Rumson, and we beat them later on a week later. And I guess the thing I want to say about this team, girls, and I don't want to say too much because we're going to have a banquet tomorrow night, and I'm just never going to listen to it twice. But there's something about this group, they just know how to win. Every year we lose players, and somebody steps up every year. Now, this year, I won't go on and on, but I will say there were a lot of 3-2 matches, whereas in many cases, we kind of just roll over a lot of these teams. And it took something in every one of those big matches. Manasquan for the sectional title, Mendham and Haddonfield. It was 3-2, 3-2 in each one of those. And it wasn't the same three people or the same positions winning. It was mixed up all across the board. And I think that's an indication of how competitive they are. We're made up of a group of about 13 girls on the varsity, and they come from 5 different schools, but yet they pull together very quickly in the season. Whether they're in the starting lineup or not, they all enjoy each other. And we just think it was we really excuse me, really appreciate all the help we got from Mr. Casal and everybody else who was involved. Our HTA has done a wonderful job helping us this year. And thank you for honoring us, and we'll try again next year. Thank you.
Okay, girls, we're going to call you up now to get your certificate. And Mr. Casal and Coach Russell, if you'd stay up here to present the certificates. Girls, after you get your certificate, we'd like you to take a position here in front of the dais for the board. After we're complete, the board will come up and we'll take a picture. Okay? All right, thank you. So first up, Gabriela Dektitov. Dektyrov. My apologies. Congratulations. That's an R? Where'd you learn how to write, Mr. Casal? Okay, this one here. Alexandra Lapis. Tanvi Patela. Paige Piscatelli. Jordan Seelove. Ryan Seelove. Shivali Sethi. Okay. Anya Shah. Ishana Shah. Congratulations. Kate Shekoff. Audrey Wang. Congratulations. Vivi Zhang. Congratulations. Their fearless leader, head coach Don Russell. And assistant coach Kevin Chang. Okay. By the way, as tennis players, they all have some really strong grips. That's good stuff, girls. All right, board, if you could join us in administration in front of the dais. Dr. Harris, if you come up. Yeah. Thanks, girls. Okay. So our next group from our girls volleyball program. I mean, what an amazing story of just an upward trajectory of a program. Again, I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but you know, some of my memories are certainly the sectional championship game, which you know I had the privilege of being at. And by the way, like You should have told me that volleyball is so stressful. I'm serious. Like nothing compares to a volleyball match as far as like just how intense it is. And it was a great match. The girls battled back, and won the first sectional championship in school history, right? How about that? So, yeah. A final record is at 23-3, 24-3, and made it to the group semis, and we're a hair away from making it to the championship. But we're super proud of you. So glad to be recognizing you and the staff tonight, and of course the families here as well. So with that, I'll introduce Mr. Casal to provide a little more info, and then we'll ask the coaches to come up.
All right, girls volleyball, 24-3, outstanding season, obviously. Girls were division champs. You made it to the Shore Conference Tournament semifinals, and you obviously won the sectional title, the first one in history. Congratulations. So the girls made it to the semifinal last year of the sectional tournament, but we were a lower seed, so we had to travel to Governor Livingston, and we went up there and a good team, and we lost, and we came back this year, and we knew we were going to have a strong team, and the girls, obviously by their record, had an outstanding season, and we got Governor Livingston again this year, but this time we were able to get them at home. And as Dr. C said, it was definitely a stressful match, probably more so for the spectators because you girls are in the moment playing, but for everybody watching, like by point, we're up and down. And it's like, it really is like gets to you. It's nerve wracking, but you push through. Awesome match, great environment. I also want to say, like, from my standpoint, the girls are always smiling, whether it's practice or games. You just have a really strong team chemistry and culture. So as an athletic director, yeah, obviously we're celebrating their victories, but it's cool to see that the girls like truly seem to get along and enjoy being there. And I remember at the last game versus Pinelands where it was hard fought, a great match, honestly, one of the best I've ever seen. And we lost close. And afterwards, it was basically the feeling of the girls were upset they lost, but they were also upset that like the season was over because they had so much fun with one another. So on my end, it's definitely good to see. Love celebrating championships, but love also seeing the team chemistry. They finished third in the Shore Conference, the third best team in the Shore Conference, and they were ranked approximately 16th in the state of New Jersey. So girls had an outstanding year, first sectional championship. Congratulations. I'm going to call up our third year coach, Coach Rebecca Morse. She's in her third year as the head coach here at Holmdel. Coach Morse. Short and sweet.
Yeah. All right. So like he said, first sectional title ever. I kind of expected it. I'm not going to say I didn't with this group of girls. I started as the JV coach when these girls were freshmen. So we have worked our way up and there's 7 of them leaving us, sadly. But I have no doubt in my mind that next year we'll bring the same type of energy at practice every day, smiles, everything like that. Team chemistry is great. We have positive communication throughout everything, and they're just a really good group of girls to work with. So congrats, ladies.
Before you start on the girls, I just want to give a shout out to Ken Lavelle from HYAA, I'm sorry, because he started our feeder program for HYAA, which is part of the reason that so many of these girls are successful. So Ken, yes, they did. So you came to HYAA, it didn't exist as a rec sport, and you have made this in part what it is today. So thank you. He's here in the audience.
Well said, Ms. Ducello. Thank you, Mr. Lavelle. Okay. Starting off, Jessica Donnelly. Kelsey Gallo. Maya Houston. Victoria G. Olivia Keating. Julia Kern. Sophia Kern. Olivia Kraus. Brooke Lavelle. Margot Messihi. Isabel Tego. Margaret Sum. Oh, I'm sorry, Melanie Sum. I apologize. I should have put them back on. I took them off. I should have left them on. Let's keep these on. Mel Syed. Ariella Zanetti. Juliana Gallo. Helen Yilmaz. Head coach Rebecca Morse. Assistant coach Alex Johnson. And that is your 2025 girls volleyball team. Championship volleyball.
I'm gonna move it so that, you wanna go ahead in front of it? Yeah. Going up top, folks. Ready? 1.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. Okay. So, our last recognition of the evening is, we're honoring, Mr. Frank Papalia. Kind of operation we run was in charge of this, please. No, just kidding. So we honor for Mr. Frank Papalia, for his leader. Yeah. Now, knowing Mr. Papalia, he's completely, I don't want to say mortified, but we felt it was important to honor Frank for his leadership, dedication, and impact on the Holmdel Township Public Schools community. So before joining Holmdel, Mr. Papalia served in Washington, D.C. for Congressman Duncan Hunter, handling constituent services, congressional writing, district casework, and supporting the House Armed Services Committee. These experiences shaped Frank's strong commitment to public service and community engagement. Mr. Papalia began his Holmdel career in 2006 as a football coach and substitute teacher, eventually serving as defensive coordinator and head coach. And under his leadership, the 2007 team achieved a 10-1 record, the winningest in school history at the time. He also served as president of the Shore Football Coaches Association and hosted the 2012 All-Shore Football Game. Transitioning into school safety, Mr. Papalia led the in-school suspension program, becoming a building-based monitor and later district school safety specialist. He has played a central role in developing Holmdel's emergency management plan, standard operating procedures, incident command structure, and behavior threat and assessment program, initiatives that have been recognized nationally and presented at conferences in Washington, D.C., and through the New Jersey School Boards Association. He serves on multiple district and county safety teams, trains staff in crisis response, and works to improving programs including Stop It, LineWise, and 911 Inform. His collaborative efforts have strengthened safety, communication, and awareness across the district and community. Mr. Papalia's contributions have been recognized through Holmdel's Educational Services Professional of the Year Awards in 2023 and 24, reflecting the high regard in which he is held. Above all, he is a devoted husband and father to his wife, Erin, and their children, James, Ava, and Emily. Holmdel Township Public Schools is safer, stronger, and more prepared thanks to Mr. Papalia's dedication, leadership, and heart for service. So please join us in recognizing and thanking him for his outstanding contributions to our district. Come on up, Mr. Papalia. We present this from the Holmdel Township Board of Education. Yes, sir. Congratulates Frank Papalia, certificate of recognition in appreciation of your faithful and capable service as district school safety specialist and for your unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of our school community. This day, November 19th, 2025, Holmdel Board of Education. Congratulations again, Frank. Thank you.
What's that? Sure, if you want to.
I was not prepared, but I did do a nice job of clearing out the room here, if you noticed that. It's a good job if that was done on purpose. Thank you very much for this. As Dr. C said, I'm happy to fly under the radar most of the time and just kind of do my job and help. And I very much appreciate this recognition. I've enjoyed 20 years here. I'm looking forward to years down the road. I'm very lucky to have Dr. C and a Board of Ed that is so finds school safety so important and gives us the resources to be successful. I have a great mentor and partner also in Dr. Lamoglia, who unfortunately for her, I drag her into way more school safety stuff than she needs. I'm really thankful for the whole administrative team, obviously Dr. C, Mr. Howard, who I've known forever. And, you know, I'd be remiss not to say, like, the first person to ever really believe in me in this district is Ms. Vitale, who really stuck her neck out for me many years ago, and we made a great partnership. And as I said earlier, there's nothing better than people just calling me and saying, like, hey, can you help? And to me, that's like the best recognition for me personally. So thank you for committing so much to school safety. Thank you, Dr. C, for all you've done for me personally. Dr. Lamoglia, all my colleagues. Thank you. And if you ever need me to clear out a room again, just throw me on the agenda and it'll work perfectly. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Papalia. We need you to take a picture with us. Thank you so much. All right. It's the exciting part of the meetings, the recognitions, the students and administration, teachers, staff, always recognizing the people that make Holmdel awesome. So we appreciate taking those moments. We're going to head over to the student representatives to the board and get some updates. Bella, you going first? All right.
Okay, so to start off, hi everyone. At the high school this week, some things we wanted to notify you of are the Holmdel Theater Guild's play, which is coming up. They will be performing Puffs, which follows the story of
He had feedback because this was on.
My bad.
Oh, sorry. It follows the story of students at a magical school, and the dates for the play will be November 20th, 21st, and 22nd at 7 p.m. So go head out and see it if you have time. They always put on great performances. And the winter musical will be on Monday, November 24th, or the info for it will be up on Monday, November 24th. And then going off of that, we just want to congratulate again our sports teams. Girls volleyball, obviously, and girls tennis has some amazing seasons. And boys football just won the first sectional title in history, just like volleyball, and will be headed into the semifinals for states this Friday. So we're doing great with fall sports as we head into winter.
We're not going to mention the big win last night.
What big? Oh, I almost forgot. And well, I didn't play, so.
She didn't. She was a sideliner, but that's okay.
So, and then last night we had our annual powder puff with the senior and junior girls, or as Dr. C said, not the powder puff. What were we calling it?
We opened up a conversation that, a motion to possibly change the name of the game because these girls are anything but soft, like warriors, really.
It was
Like,
getting aggressive out there.
yeah, so it's a little bit of a misnomer calling it powder puff because they're tough.
But as usual, senior win. Can't have it any other way. 7-0, so low scoring game, but we still won. And yeah, give it over to Antonio.
Without cheating.
Yeah. Let's keep that in mind. Without cheating, no flags were tied.
That's right.
Yeah, there was no cheating. I went to the game last night. It was a fun time.
For the losing side.
For the losing side. Hi, my name is Antonio. Nice to see you all here today. A couple of updates. So Battle of Classes is next week, November 26th. And some new games that we added are a pool noodle fight where we cut a pool noodle in half and we have a cup and the class, I think we have 10 per class and they try to knock the pool noodle off. So that's a new fun game that we added. And another fun game that I like try to push to get into was the final is going to be a pie eating contest. Yeah, I'll probably be participating in that. So Spirit Week is this week, and so yesterday was Powder Puff Day. So the juniors and freshmen dressed up in white, and the seniors and sophomores were in blue. Today was Twin Day, so you have to dress up with a friend as like a twin. And the next couple of days, Thursday's Grout Fit, which is just wear gray. Friday is dress like your age. So the freshmen are going to be babies. The sophomores are going to be teenagers. The juniors are going to be adults and the seniors are going to be like senior citizens. Monday is pajama day. Tuesday next week is Holmdel gear. And then Wednesday is wear your class color. So seniors are pink, juniors are red, sophomores are green, and freshmen are purple. Some upcoming events for the high school. The Holmdel basketball team are doing their toy drive. So you have to donate a toy and such, similar to like Toys or Tots. And that deadline is December the 18th. And yeah, today we did have one of our big student council meetings. So every month we get all of our classes together and we discussed all the classes and all the student reps, and they come into that room back there and we discuss stuff on this agenda here. And that's about it for this month.
All right, thanks for the updates. Sounds like the students are busy having fun. So we appreciate that. All right, Dr. C, the report of the superintendent. Good night, both of you guys. Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
evening.
Yeah, thank you, President Damari. Yeah, this time of year I love this time of year. It's busy, but there's so much going on. I could go on for hours of all the things that are happening, but just some highlights I wanted to note. Just a shout out for the Indian Hill Entrepreneur Club. They're doing a holiday market at Bellworks on Thursday, December 4th from 5:30 to 7:30. And students in grades 4 through 6 will sell handmade products, building on the success of last year's, what was that called last year? No, when they did the businesses, it's escaping me. The Entrepreneur Affair, where they marketed and sold their their products, their proprietary products. So December 4th, all the proceeds will go to charity. Last year it was to Make-A-Wish. I believe that's the same this year. Mrs. Vitale, Entrepreneur Market Fair, Make-A-Wish. Oh, so it's going to go towards the school. Okay, listen, I love that. I mean, what terrific.
We can use it. We can use it.
Terrific. I mean, I think that's tremendous, you know, not only giving back to the larger community, but making investments in their own school. I mean, that is real world applications if I've ever seen it. Thank you, Mrs. Vitale. I had the pleasure of going down to Trenton a couple weeks ago with Mrs. Vitale, Principal Vitale. Indian Hill was recognized as a blue ribbon school by the State Board of Education. It was a proud moment for us, and Mrs. Vitale and I will continue on the circuit as we go. In December, we'll be recognized by the county commissioners in Freehold, so we're looking forward to that as well. And you probably noticed the banners are up. They look great outside and inside. So thank you to our Steve Rogers and our Buildings and Grounds team for working with our sign contractor to get that done, and our B&G team for putting them up. The high school aquaponics lab is functioning. All of the space renovations were completed by our Buildings and Grounds team. Our contractors from Intag have installed the aquaponics equipment. I believe that the system has now kind of worked itself through, and now nothing to do but let those fish do their thing and grow products. So we've scheduled a ribbon cutting with the foundation for January. Details forthcoming on that. Just want to give, speaking of the HFE, just a shout out to them that they're in the midst of their annual giving campaign. So, please consider supporting the foundation, and the aquaponics lab, amongst others. They continue to make incredible donations to our school district and enhance our programming. You noticed that we were recognized by U.S. News and World Report as our two elementary schools and our middle school as best elementary schools and middle school. I am going to qualify that puts us in the top 40%, which is, that's not necessarily something where we're going to go shouting it from the highest rooftop. Nevertheless, it's better to be on that list than not be on that list. And as I've said before, I think these successes, these recognitions, they buoy us, they move us forward to be proud of what we're accomplishing, not for complacency, but to continue to elevate. And of course, it does not distinguish what percentage we were in, but I'm fairly certain that Indian Hill School, as a blue ribbon school, is well above the 40th percentile. But nevertheless, it's good to be in that company with other outstanding schools. We've already mentioned about our championships, which we were recognized, but it's been a banner fall with 3 state championships thus far. I had the pleasure of joining Board President Damari, Vice President Lopresti, as well as Board Member Reddy, who is a veteran himself, at the annual Indian Hill Veterans Breakfast and Speaker Series. Mrs. Vitale, the PLG the staff did an outstanding job. We had over 25 veterans come. And it's a terrific experience for our kids. The stories, what they learn, even just hearing some of the stories of one of the gentlemen who was actually shot down over Hanoi in the Christmas bombings and was taken prisoner and was in the Hanoi Hilton and survived and lived to tell about it. And the helmet as well, which is the helmet which he lost after ejecting from the plane, was later found and put into a museum in Vietnam. So just great stories like that you just can't get in a history book. And I think that real world authentic learning is tremendous. And so thank you again, all folks who made that possible. Also last week, Peter Pan at Indian Hill. For anyone that saw it, it was another terrific show from our staff and our students. Packed house. Great costumes, great acting. I mean, it really was top notch. Always impressed with the talent of our kids, and understanding that, when you see a play and you think, oh, that's wonderful, great play. But when you think about all the people and all the acts and all the resources that go into making that happen, you really see the quality of our community manifested in things like that. It makes me very proud as a superintendent when I see those things. Division One signing day, sometimes some folks might say, and even I will say sometimes that as a society, maybe we place too much priority on athletics, even though I think they're tremendously beneficial for our students, but they also are beneficial financially, aren't they? We have quite a number of our student athletes who go on to play Division One sports with scholarships. We did five Division One signings last week. We have one student running track and field, Lucas Lund at Cornell. We have Alex Reyes, who's going to wrestle at Rutgers, Jack Valillo, who's going to pitch at Seton Hall, Dylan Zamet, who's going to pitch at NJIT, and Marcus Cermelli, who's going to play lacrosse at Hobart. All great institutions. So we're super proud of, and we will have more. So for a school of our size, we have a tremendous amount of talent. Super proud of those guys. This Saturday, we hosted a free cardiac screening clinic for our students. I want to thank Dr. Albert and his group, Castro, their group, for donating their time and resources to offer this clinic. We had over 125 of our students benefit from those cardiac screenings. And obviously, this is a cause that's very close to our heart as a community, with the loss of one of our own in Jack Dowd a number of years ago from an undiagnosed cardiac condition. So we were really thrilled when Dr. Albert reached out and was interested in starting that back up. And thank you to Mr. Casal, who worked on the nitty gritty of the logistics and making it happen. Nurse Jen Pollinger spent the day there supporting their team. I dropped by for a bit to help out and just to express on thanks to the Board of Education and our school community and the doctors for their generosity in time. And finally, they mentioned it, but I got to give it another shout out. If you're looking for something to do tomorrow night, Friday night, or Saturday night, and pretty affordable, come to the high school play. Okay. 7 o'clock, and go grab an early dinner or a late dinner if you prefer, and come see the show. You won't be disappointed. I will be attending on Thursday night, and board members, if you're interested in attending, just let me know. So hope to see you there. And that, Mr. President, concludes my report.
Thank you. Friday's going to be busy around here.
Oh, I have one other thing. I apologize. I do have one other thing. I have to acknowledge a gentleman who's here in attendance with us, Mr. Daniel Wright. Mr. Wright is on the agenda this evening. He'll be prospectively joining us as a teacher of business. Comes to us from a career in trading on Wall Street, and decided that he's looking for something to give back, and we're looking forward to having him on board. So appreciate you coming tonight, Daniel.
Welcome aboard, sir. Thank you.
That concludes my report, Mr. President. Oh, right. I mean, of course, the students mentioned it, but we get a big tilt Friday night, home, Rogie Field, semis of the groups against Cedar Creek. It promises to be another electric atmosphere. And should our boys, when our boys win, they will advance to the finals, which we don't know if it's Rutgers or MetLife. We don't know yet, but they will be playing either the final at either Rutgers or MetLife Stadium. So come on out, support the boys. And of course, everyone that's part of it, our cheerleaders, our dance team, our pep band. It's a great community night. And again, Dr. Kluwer, it's a night where we see the true, just holistic nature of our community. We have our fire department there, our police. It's really a wonderful evening.
A lot of alumni too. We had
a ton of alumni last year, 1991, and a lot of the guys from that 1991 team who fell short in the finals were there, and it was great to meet him and to get to know some of those guys. So
awesome.
Yeah.
How are we logistically handling parking on Friday night with the theater and football game?
Oh, that's a really good. Dr. Hertz, you want to come up to the mic, Dr. Hertz? Thank you.
Just to give everybody a heads up, we've got a theater show and a premiere theater show and a football game.
Team is traveling from the same area as Seneca, down in that Southwest Jersey. They brought 3 fan buses, which helped, bring in 150
Wow.
people in with only taking 3 school buses. So the main lot should suffice for our parking for the football game. Talking with Dr. DeVivo and Ms. Simonelli over at SATS, the SATS staff parking lot, parking around the side and even around the back will be enough for the play performance for Friday night, including any extra spots that they can find in the main parking lot as well. So we should be in good shape.
Will we have some like signage saying like, if you're here for the high school play,
Yeah, so
that way versus?
tomorrow, and then Friday again, Ms. Seminelli and I will be disseminating information to the community, especially for Friday night for the entrance to be at the old main entrance door 11.
Yeah.
Come right into the auditorium, as well as signage in the school if you're coming in from door 19 or 20 on the SAT side.
Thank you.
So it should be good.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Hertz.
So whoever's attending the theater show, please park in the SATS lot and go through the side entrance door there.
The Meadowland charges like $50 for parking, and we
We-
could,
we-
get
that's true.
25 per
That's true.
car. I mean, that would solve a lot of our budget issues.
would,
maybe.
it would.
So,
I mean, it's not, I mean, it's not a bad idea, Mr. Buckley. Ms.
Thank you.
Donnelly, anything, Mr. Trent, anything from the financial regs that would preclude us from doing that?
Other than people showing up with.
nothing comes to mind.
Well, what about the 100 people that are going to come to the meetings?
I don't advise that's a political question.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the update. Harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, Dr. Cascone.
Yes, admitted into the record as presented in closed executive session.
All right. Thank you. I'll throw it out there to all the people in the audience. Questions or comments from the public on action items only? We got none. Action items. Okay, we are going to pull 35 and 36. So we will be voting on 1 through 34 and 37 through, what was the last one? 40.
Move.
We're not voting.
Wait, what's going on? So we're voting.
Just talking about.
All right, so we're not voting on that right
So-
now. All right, so we, oh, okay, 40 is both. All right, motion,
I motioned and we already have a second.
Okay.
We already did that. Yep.
roll call.
Yes.
Mr. Patillo?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes, with the exception of 29, 41 and 42, I vote no. Oh, okay. Disregard.
Oh,
41,
yeah, we
42.
haven't spoken about that yet.
Okay.
Kim?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes, thank you. So 35, Ms. Lepresti, can you read that, please?
Acceptance of monetary donation from the Peter R. Marsh Foundation in the form of a grant. The board accept with gratitude a monetary donation from Peter R. Marsh Foundation in the form of a grant and the amount of $1,850 to be designated for musical education expenses. Fund account 20-002-100-600-0001 MU 01050.
Motion,
Move.
Dr. Floor?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Patillo?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Kim?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
yes, thank you. Dr. Clore, can you read 36, please?
Acceptance of non-monetary donation from the Village School PSA. That the board accept with gratitude a non-monetary donation from the Village School PSA of Promethean interactive boards to be installed in all kindergarten classrooms as well as social studies, music and art at a cost not to exceed $75,000.
Move.
Second.
Roll call. Thank you, Dr. Clore.
Dr. Floor?
Yes, thank you very much.
Mrs. Patillo?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Kim?
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Lepresti?
Yes, thank you so much.
Mr. Murray?
Yes, thank you. All right, old business. Anybody have any old business to bring up?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
Since I wasn't here for the regular, the public session last week, I just wanted to give everybody an update on the BNF committee meeting we had on November 11th. Just go through a couple of things high level. We talked about this service, ClearGov, that kind of automates and makes beautiful budget books and website content so people can easily digest and navigate and create charts and just ways for people to more easily digest and understand the district's financials. So it's something that we're looking at in terms of a cost, the cost associated with that. It does automate a lot of things. So from an efficiency standpoint, it's definitely there. And I think it just from a community perspective, I think it would be helpful. With all this data that we've gotten, it's been very manual to create charts and graphs and stuff, and this system would do that for us. So, and we're seeing in terms of the customization that's there and stuff too. So it's just something that we were chatting about. Deb had a pretty extensive conversation with them, so we'll keep you updated on that. We talked about the health benefits and its impact, potential impact on the projected budget deficit, really high level numbers. I know we had the presentation last week. So we're trying to assess the impact of that and kind of finalize the numbers and what that does to our projected deficit going into 26, 27. Let's see, we talked about facility usage fees, the rates, new rates starting next year as well. SLEOs, we're in discussions with the township committee about various things, one of them being the SLEOs because our contract for them to provide security officers, SLEOs, class 3 officers, expires at the end of this school year. So I think that should be continued. It's not final yet, but I think we're pretty safe to say that should be done by the end of the year. But we're working on that kind of behind the scenes legalese and that kind of thing for another 3 years. So we expect that to be done by the end of the year for 3 years starting next year. We continue to talk about privatization. So we received, as we expressed in the spring, we sent out requests we sent out RFPs for the privatization of custodians, and we received those proposals back. And interviews are starting tomorrow for 3 potential third parties. And lastly, we talked about the possibility of putting a second question out there. Specifically related to courtesy busing. That's the one we're focused on potentially. So we're assessing that and we'll keep you guys in the loop. That's it.
Allison, what did you mean by SLEOs? I don't know what that means.
The security law enforcement officers. So the police officers, they're class 3 and the security at the schools.
So just as a history for everybody, the Board of Ed would send the township a check for the security officers up until 3 years ago, when we were able to get that agreement signed, where the township took responsibility to fund the SLEOs, which I think majority felt like, we should have been doing that as a township. So that'll continue. Hopefully will continue for years to come. So.
So I had, just so you know, looking forward to the budget and whether or not there's going to be a second question or not, Dr. Cascone said that if we're looking for a second question, we have to make that decision.
So if we were looking to do a January election, the deadline would be like the end of next week, like November 20. Yeah, right. If we were looking for, and Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, if we were looking at a March election, then it extends the deadline to December.
I think it might actually be January.
Early January, I think.
Oh, okay.
Vote on the board to do that. So that means that at our December meetings, we'd have to vote to put it out there for January 9th election.
And you'd have to decide what second question or questions you wanted to specifically.
So I'd like to, I said this to Dr. Cascone, I am not willing to vote on a question on whether or not we're going to go out and raise unless we actually have a discussion as to Deb, I've asked you already, what's the number? As is, everything in place without outsourcing, without cutting any staff, no reduction in force anywhere. What's the number? I asked that last
I'm
week.
confused, but so you said status quo from a teacher's contract perspective, no RIFs.
Correct. No outsourcing. I would like to know what that number is to work off a baseline, right? With our deficit built in, everything to keep us whole. What is the number? 10%, we have to raise taxes 10%. I'm not saying I'm willing to do that. I'm just saying I would like to, and I think it's important for the public when we are going to talk about outsourcing, like with the choices that we're talking about, outsourcing, reduction in force, cutting courtesy busing, all of these things that are now on the table. Where are we as a baseline that if we kept all of these things, it means that from the current year to next year, we would have to raise taxes, what % if everything stayed the same?
Right. And I think we've broken it down publicly in our communications in various forms in terms of the numbers associated with each of those things. But
Yes, but I
we
want the
can-
total, I want the total number, like we're looking at, we would have to raise taxes 10%, 12%. Like, I really have no idea what that number is.
All right, so I can give you a little bit of color on that now. So, so basically, prior to being informed about this exponential increase in benefits, we were, and again, this is all sort of back of the envelope math. So it's not down to the penny, but these were sort of rough outs. And of course, you're always dealing with hypotheticals, right? You don't really truly know the numbers of the increases. You don't know your state aid numbers. So we're dealing in theoretical. So even if you get it down to the penny, you're still basing it upon predictions. So you heard the number 2.5 million thrown around. That was an estimate based upon the status quo as far as, I believe, as far as benefit increase. We're basing that on what our benefit increase was for this year. Yeah, around 14%. So that 2.5 million number increased not quite 3 times, but more than twice when we went from 14% prediction to 32%, right? So it was more than twice. So you can say that 2.5 number jumps to approximately 6 million, which is the new number that we've been talking about. Now, if you consider the savings that we have identified through our work with the third-party consultant advocate, the feasibility study, and then ultimately the RFPs. And I want to say publicly that the administration exercised a high degree of due diligence in working with that third-party consultant in the construction of the RFP, multiple meetings, to ensure that they were clear on all the things that our current staff do, with maybe one exception, which would be painting. But other than that, because that would have to be, what do they call that? Prevailing wage. But we're estimating that those savings associated with custodians would be at least 1 million. I think our most recent calculations were 1.2 million. So if you didn't do that, that would add another let's call it an even 1 million to the 6 million, and now we're at 7 million. Now, that deficit was based upon a certain percentage, and I'm not going to state that percentage publicly because it is tangent to the ongoing negotiations process. But if the percentage associated with the new contract was higher than the percentage that was predicted, that would be yet additional added to the deficit. And so you're looking at a minimum of $7 million. Now, that deficit is predicated on a couple of things. One is that we go to 2% cap. 2 is that we exercise the full healthcare waiver, and that's also a prediction. We don't know what that's going to be. So that's considering all of those things. Although that was inclusive of the savings associated with outsourcing. So when you consider that the 2%, Debbie, what does 2% typically give us in revenue?
It's about 1.3 million.
1.3 million. So if you think about it, it's 1.3 million per 2%. And we would already be operating, if you look at last year when we went to cap with the healthcare waiver and bank cap, we were just under 6%. But we also used bank cap, which was approximately, we'll call that actually probably about close to 2%, right? Because I think we used a little.
It was 1.3 as well.
1.3, right. So if you think about last year's minus the bank cap was, let's call it just under 4%, 3.9%. And you need to recoup, let's call it $6 million, because it's round numbers, we can do that. You're looking at an additional at least 2% per each. Actually, it's more than 2% for each 2 million. Right. So you're looking at, if 1.3 is 2% and we need 6 million, at least, right?
I think last week, and I didn't bring that sheet with me, but I want to say last week, we actually said it was more than 6 million. So
Yeah.
I want to say we said 7.5.
6 million for health and 1 million for transportation. The cost?
No, I think
No,
the
no,
6
no,
million
we
was
said
in,
we were short. I want to say we were talking in bumping health benefits up to 20 million. We said we were like, and
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. This is all confusing. I think if we can say to the public, if we cut nothing
Mhm.
and didn't outsource anyone and we kept courtesy busing and we did all the things, it would mean that we are going to raise your tax. We would have to do X, right? 12, like, I feel like it's going to be a ridiculous number, like maybe it's
It sounds like it's
12%,
it's gonna be
probably
over
over 12%.
and it's all, yeah,
I would
yeah,
like,
that's fine. We
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
we can have that prepared for the next meeting.
because then we can say, I think it's, if we have that baseline, now that we know that we have to go up next year to a $20 million, that's, our best guesstimate. I understand a lot of stuff is still in flux, okay? But I think we need a baseline. That should be like one of the first things that you should be asked. Because if we know, if we're saying it's over 12%, and then we can say to the public, this isn't Middletown where they did that in order to save schools from closing, right? We're here, so we are going to make some tough choices, and this is what we're deciding, and whatever that be, right? Whether it's courtesy busing and I'm going to say publicly right now, I will cut courtesy busing before I cut staff. Like I would rather, and that maybe that's not a popular thing to say, but I would, if it's $700,000, that's 6 or 7 staff members that can be saved. And that means whether it's electives, class sizes staying reduced or whatever, I would rather see courtesy busing go than 6 or 7 staff members, because we're going to lose staff members no matter what coming up.
Well, Kim, I won't be here, but I do support that. I
And
do
just-
support the need to
Thank
cut
you.
courtesy busing at this point.
Well, yeah.
Staff's going to be reduced either way, most likely.
Correct, but like I heard, like, I guess at a budget and finance, you're saying that we want to go out to second question just on courtesy busing.
That's not what I
don't-
said. That's not, I just said that's what we were talking about. I didn't say that's what we were doing.
No, I know that,
Oh.
but that's what you're considering.
Oh,
I
because
wouldn't
there
go
are,
out
there
for
are
that. I'd
implications
go out
though.
for-
If we do that, if anything for a second question, I'm going to rely on Kyle because I don't want to misspeak, but like if we put it on if we put let's just go on the courtesy busing example. If we put courtesy busing on a second question and the community votes it down, right? 51-49, whatever it is. If it's voted down to say we are cutting courtesy busing, we are prohibited from ever using school general funds to ever pay for courtesy busing again. So it's like it's not a short-term thing. It's forever.
So any second question that you go out for, you have to identify what it specifically is
Right.
for. And you are restricted in future years from using district funds if the public votes down that. So decision to cut courtesy busing will be a decision to cut courtesy busing moving forward, correct?
In perpetuity, right? So it's final.
10 years or forever? It's like
Forever.
what's
Forever.
But if
So
we cut it just out of our
That
budget,
is different. We
then
can,
that's different.
Correct. It's only what you're restricted if you put a second question out. So if you put a second question out for, whatever it is, you're kind of, I don't want to say encumbering, but you're restricting your ability to use public funds to replace whatever the public
So
wrote it
if
down.
we go out to second question and let's just say to save 10 staff positions, okay? We're asking for an extra $1 million, like I have no idea, an extra $1 million for 10 staff. Do we have to say exactly what staff? Do we
Yep.
have to
Yes.
spell it out? Like, so we would, so that would be the next thing on my list, that I'm not going to vote on whether or not to go out to second question unless we know what positions are on the table to be cut. And because they would have to go out onto a specific question, and whether that's, hey, to keep custodians, hey, to keep courtesy busing, hey, to keep these 10 electives going, these 5 AP courses go, like, I have
Yeah,
no
but
idea.
then you can't bring those back. Again, just that second question, just so everyone understands, it's very restrictive and we've said this before. So you have to be thoughtful about it. Because
question about the restrictive nature of the second question. Can you, a few years later, put another second question to override the second question?
You cannot put it back up. Again, you can do a different question that again, kind of gray area. There's not a whole lot of case law on it, but the way the statute and the rule is written, you're not allowed to use district budgeted funds to bring that back if the public votes it down.
That's pretty foolish.
The-
It's very final. It's very final.
So the way I see the second question is just
buying us another year, it doesn't solve the structural issue of the district. So in my eyes, if I was on the board, I wouldn't even go out for a second question. You've got to do structural changes to the way the district operates.
No, well, I know, so that's why.
Or survive.
I mean, I don't know which way I'm leaning either way, but and mainly it's because I don't know what's on the table.
Did
Yeah,
the non-budget and finance people get the memo that we did? I know budget and finance did because I went to a budget and finance meeting laying out the process and the deadlines and the restrictions. Have you seen that as non-budget
No.
and finance? So it might be a good idea to share that with the non-budget and finance people.
I was thinking, maybe what the purpose of a second question is to just, if you have a series of cuts that we're planning, that you can propose what is cuttable kind of, and then we really taking the community's permission to cut it, so we don't, that's probably the reason to do it. If we can cut this, we can cut that, and
I mean, but
understand.
listen, we also have to be mindful of budget timelines, March, April, and the timing of the ballot questions to be effective for the 26, 27.
100%,
So,
but there are some people in the community that have flat out said, just raise our taxes. Like it's Holmdel, they'll pay for it. And I think that that it has to be, and I also put this out there for them, that they understand that if it fails, and we talk about 25% of the community, right, being on a fixed income and are most likely to vote no, right? And then you don't know who's going to show up to vote to say yes, and whatever else, as our taxes have gone up a significant amount every year for the last several years, because we're taking, again, the brunt of not having pilot money. If we had pilot money, this would.
that doesn't fix the
Yeah,
structure
but
though.
Every,
No, it
every
doesn't
district's
fix- it doesn't.
budget deficits.
No,
right
but
now.
but I'm sorry, but our business administrator said if we had our
Well,
fair
sure,
share
if
of
we
pilot
had
money, this
money, of
wouldn't be an
course.
issue. Like,
Of course, if we had more money, but it doesn't structurally fix.
Well,
but-
it would, I mean, even if you looked at even if you used the calculus of 65% of the funds coming from the Bellworks pilot, that's obviously, it brings us much closer to closing our deficit.
percent of 7 million that was collected last year is, I don't know the math, but
We keep using energy to talk about something that doesn't exist. So the pilot was already created. We're not getting the percentage that everybody keeps talking about. So
no, but they're about to, but if anyone actually does listen to this, they're trying, the pilot that they're trying to push through on Vonage hasn't happened yet. And that's more money we're going to lose, because right now we are collecting from that empty lot. We collect money from
I
that.
think it's a couple 100,000, 200 to 300,000.
Great, a few $100,000
No, but
is
you just have to
great.
let
That's a
people
couple
know
of
what it
positions.
is.
But the thing about it is that we get the 65%. Like at the end of the day, we're limited in the tax levy, right? So if the overall ratables go up in the community, we're still limited in what percentage of that we can take, right? So it was interesting. I was just having a conversation today with Mrs. Donnelly about it. And on some level, the ideal solution is that, fine, let the pilot happen, but create a shared revenue ordinance, because otherwise you're still limited in what they could bring in all this additional revenue, but we still can only levy 2%, from the local taxes, right?
And I think, if you've been tracking, there's a bill up in Trenton to parse some of that or require the municipality to give part of the pilot money to the school district, right? We'll see what happens. Or, in lieu of that, the township can cut a deal with the Board of Education to find funds, right? So everything we're talking about, we have to collaborate with our town committee members too, because again, we draw off 68%, something like that, of the tax levy. So we have to figure this out with them. And I think you've been saying this for the past, I've been here coming to 11 months, is communication with them is going to be paramount to a lot of what we have to do, moving forward the budget.
Yeah, and I just wanted to note, because when you were talking, Dr. Gloria, you said that put certain things out there to the public, like to see what they want to do. My only response to that is, I think it's great to get community feedback. We've proven that as a board and administration. We're always out there getting community feedback, and it's get it for all this as well. But at the end of the day, the board is elected officials to make the decision, because what happens is we all know that most people are making a misinformed vote, as we see in elections. So we're on the inside, we see what's going on, we're informed to make the decisions. And I get concerned that people are going to make decisions off of headlines and not really understand what's happening, because there's a lot at stake here. There really is. This is significant. And with these benefits and the claims, they can go up exponentially again. So, you know, I'm a little hesitant to ask for money. I won't have a vote, but that's my voice before I go.
And I want to get back to something Kim said about, there are people in town that say just raise taxes, but there's just as many, I mean, we don't know the numbers, that say no. So
I'm with you. No,
because
with you
I'm
on
saying
that.
no. I'd like,
But
personally, I'm
I
saying
think
no.
that my point in raising all of this is saying, in order to leave everything status quo, let's say the number is 12+%. There's the number. We can't even do that without multiple questions saying exactly what it is. This is what it would be. And then we can never bring that back. Like, I don't think that they understand that, because it's easy to say, just raise it 10%.
But I think but I do think that we have said this on a number of occasions, and we can say it until we're blue in the face, but people need to be engaged and listened to, right? So people need to pay attention. There are serious things. We've been saying it for 2 years. You need to pay attention.
I understand, and you're frustrated, I can tell, but people aren't reading 4-page memos. They don't want to read it.
Listen to the meetings, listen to the recording.
I hear you, but you gotta like.
The memos
think-
really are, I mean, it's easy reading for people who don't participate.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing, and I'm thankful that the information is out there, but I think that you have to even simplify it further and just say, to keep everything and not cut anything, it's a 12% rate. Like,
So
that's
that's it.
what I'm
We're doing it
saying.
right now.
Like, whatever
It's
that
gonna be a
number is.
No, that's fair. Listen, I think that one of the challenges here is, and of course, the board and the administration's been great. I would give us kudos for starting these conversations way earlier and even communicating out to the community way earlier. Now, in looking internally, we're just really beginning the budget process internally. We have meetings scheduled in December, and typically, in past years, we wouldn't start talking about the budget until we presented the not to exceed in March.
Been on it since, I mean,
Yeah.
for this, like, for the 26-27, since July. As soon as the new this fiscal year started, she was on. And so there has been a slew of work, and I am grateful for that. And then please don't
I'm
think
just
that
getting
I'm not.
animated about this because it's like, pay attention, people, and it's frustrating. That's all.
I hear you. I hear you.
So I think what's a little bit of the disconnect here is we had sort of, I think, at least administratively agreed that we were really going to get through the holidays and then really starting in January, which is almost 3 full months before the not to exceed budget, really start to be regular and thoughtful about the communication, putting out the budget. However, your point is a fair one, which is this deadline for second questions comes very early in the budget process. We have to finalize these decisions by December, which we're in the very beginning stages of the budget development. That being said, I think the information you're asking for is very easy for us to come up with. And I would say that we would have to get it to you, because Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, did you say that it would be at the committee of the whole in December or the regular action meeting?
Probably better at the regular action meeting, just gives us an extra week to.
Okay. But we can provide, and this time I really mean we. I don't mean the royal we. I can work with you on this, Deb, I promise. Is get that information to you in hard copy, in a hard copy deliverable that you can review, so you have some time to process it before the committee of the whole on December 10th, and then we can discuss it publicly in December 10th. What that will include is, while it may not necessarily include like, these are what the second questions will be, because I think that's a much more involved process, but we can at least tell you, like, this is the total number of second questions that we would have to put out, and what the percentage would be for each of those second questions in order to get to the percentage that would keep a status quo. So I understand where you're coming from.
And if by chance there's a group that does want to go to, like, I honestly have no idea what my thought process is, but if by chance there's a group that does want to, maybe they piecemeal it and say, well, this and this, but we're not going to get this much. And maybe all of us think, no, we're not going to go out to any second question. I have no idea, but it's
Okay.
hard to make a decision not knowing what's actually being put on the table.
And I think, Kim, at the October meeting, we talked about, I think me and you kind of were telepathy or something where we said like the what if the status quo, what would that percentage be? And then the what if.
Right, and that's why I'm like, I definitely had already asked for
Yeah,
it.
I think we did that in October, if I'm not mistaken, at our October meeting. And I talked to Scott and you talked to Scott, and then we were like, wait a second.
So
It's a difficult number at this early stage to come by.
right now, we know that to meet the deficit, we would need a 12+% tax increase. That's basically
Well, I
a
mean,
minimum.
we have to come up with estimates, because if this is the first thing in the process, you have to, and we're already projecting out, you're projecting out what you think is a settlement for this year. So now you have to project out for next year. You're already projecting out to raise the health benefits to 20 million for next, like, so you have pieces of it. And yes, there's going to be an asterisk of
But
caveat, we're guessing.
you can't put health benefits on as a second question. So you've got to identify.
No, it's a matter of the budget.
Yeah.
I understand that that's not a part of it, but you know what we're in the hole because of, and that means these certain positions.
Yeah, we can come up with, and I think it's going to be very important for us to say that, again, as you had qualified, Kim, that, you know, there are estimates being figured in here, right? So none of this is, you know, and that's the challenging thing about school district budgeting is like, you don't get some of the most important numbers until the budget's almost due. Like literally, when do we get the state aid figures?
Like sometimes like the day before.
It's usually like February 28th.
Right. So it's literally like 2 weeks before we're actually bringing the not to exceed budget
With
forward
the
to the
new
board.
governor, it's typically
So-
pushed
so-
back even further.
So based with the caveat that these are estimates, I mean, I think we've come up with a estimated deficit, and we understand what the savings associated with some of these things are projected to be. So it's easy enough to pull those savings out. I mean, listen, I'm no math wizard, Mr. Buckley. You know, Mrs. Donnelly will tell you that herself, but we can certainly take those, you know, those projected savings and simply add them to what we projected to be the deficit to come up with the new deficit, understand estimate of what revenue we could generate through the tax levies that we can do, as well as the health benefit waiver. We can estimate our state aid and same going down, and we'll understand what that projected deficit is, what without second questions our estimated revenue would be, and then we can scratch out exactly, you know, how many second questions we would need to do in order to make up that gap in the percentage. All right, I got it.
You know, this conversation has, it shows that a lot of our community doesn't know the mechanics of how all this works. So second question, budget timelines, like I know you guys are doing it every year, but I think we need to put together a presentation so there's data for our community members. There's a PowerPoint on the website they can draw from and see what we are working with, and then maybe it might be easier to engage. Just have something out there.
That's when they're going to do the budget presentation.
But the second question, the mechanics,
yeah.
timeline,
Yeah, they'll have
like
to- you
saying
guys
once
will
it's
have
on,
to-
if you vote it down, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
People don't know this.
Well, and you also need a refresher so people understand where the deficit came from and what we've been battling. So, Dr.
I have a few things to say.
Okay.
One is that I agree with Kim as to translating the deficit into percentage of taxes. So right now we said it's a minimum 6 million from the health presentation that we had. 6 million is about 9%. So right there, you know, it's 9%. So what else we have? We can say, you know, transportation is 2%. So if you can translate it into percentage, 1.3, SJ gave us 1.3 is 2. So people will know what their taxes will go up by. And nobody, I mean, I know that if I wasn't a part of the school board, I would not be listening to the board meetings. People have things to do when the kids move out, they're paying taxes. So they are paying taxes. So yes, they could listen to our meetings and learn, but it behooves us because so that they're not upset. So they understand where their taxes are going, for us to communicate to them proactively. At one point, we thought of writing up a letter in the newsletter, Holmdel, you know, Holmdel newsletter or Township newsletter. I think since they're going to go up a lot, if we can put it out ourselves to the non-board attending, yeah, why not? Because they're seniors, they should understand why they're paying more, and nothing wrong in them being, at least, told about it. So I think we should communicate with the non-school going parents, just community as well. And the pilot money, I know we've been talking about it like on and off, but it seems like a pitting the township versus school board. But I think if we put that also in the newsletter, say that maybe with the Vonage coming up, this, we can get 65% of that. Just kind of clearly, Debbie can explain that at least in a paragraph that can be understood. And this can be put in the newsletter. Maybe the community members will go to the township meetings and and request some changes. It's not just the board always asking the township, but the community members can do that. So I know that a lot of people who are outside of the school system have no understanding of any of this. They just kind of, and because it's not presented them, it's hard for them to listen to board meetings at the right budget to understand. We can say they should, but we can go out and deliver it to them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we put out those newsletters and we had requested to the township, they have a different channel. I think they sent one of them out for us earlier in the year, which gave the financial picture of some of the challenges. But yeah, I mean, the more we can get it out the channels, the better. I agree. I mean, we were trying to send it around to little pockets so people would understand why the budget is what it is. And it's once it's in front of you, it's pretty easy to see. I mean, there's not a lot of, like, and Doc always says it, there's not a lot of levers. It's so.
No, maybe every couple of months, just keep, giving our numbers, right?
Look, yeah, I mean, the board next year is going to have to be proactive with putting that out there because it took a lot of time and energy, and I was a part of putting it out there. And frankly, I feel a little resentment from it because we were just putting the facts out there and we kind of got whiplash for it. So I think it's going to be on somebody else to put that time in.
Perhaps we robocall the community saying, look, there's a communication coming out. We have to do everything we have, the resources to get it out there. Because I look at, but not everyone does. Like, everyone's busy. But if you're getting a robocall, it's kind of hard to turn off, and we do it enough. I think we have to kind of scream a little bit that way.
I think this, nobody can object to it because it is a fact, 2%, 8% because of this. So there's no whiplash.
Oh, people are going to pay attention when they hear 12%.
Exactly, right.
So I'm not, one of the things that I asked Dr. Lamoglia for, and this is like, again, I hate to say, like, it goes back to the township committee. So we had low-income housing put in the town on Middle Road and Laurel Avenue. Okay. And something that I think that the township committee, and I know that in part, right, their hands forced. There's laws in place that they have to. So nothing, that's fine. That being said, when we talk about needing the funds, the average student pupil cost for us, which is, I think, below the state, right? We're between $17,000 and $19,000 per student. Out of the low-income housing that got put in, we have 14 special ed students. And those kids cost anywhere from $25,000 to $108,000 per student. So it is what they don't understand, like, why we say, right, that we are in as much trouble as we're in. But in part, again, I understand that the low-income housing, it's a state mandate that we have to put so many, in. So I do understand that. But when we say we need a permanent shared service agreement for monies, and even that if it's for Vonage at this point, they're never going to give us Bellworks, fine. But if we're talking about Vonage, I mean, it's things like this where you inadvertently gave us 14 special ed students that cost, instead of 17 to 19,000, they're costing 25 to 108 per student. And we have 14 of them just there. So it's, that's an impact that I think is an unforeseen impact on us.
And I think that, that speaks to the funding formulas and all that stuff, because how that's with our special ed. And Dr. Lamoglia has done an amazing job keeping a lot of kids in district, of
In
course.
district.
I
Okay, so some of these
completely-
kids might have a one-to-one, or they have like, you know,
Right.
you don't, that's including, the cost per pupil is including the therapy services.
Right.
Whether or not they, you know, need a paraprofessional, are they in a small ratio class versus in-class support? So that's why the number varies so much, right? But you don't, my point is the township committee doesn't think like
At that granular level.
Correct. And yet it's, you know, depending on who moves in at any given time into that housing, I mean, that's a significant percent of how many apartments or, I don't know if they're apartments or not, or they buy, or I'm not sure what it is there, but the housing, that is a significant percent. And you know, and it could be up to 108,000 per student. And that's them in district. If they go out of district, it could be double that. So just, you know, and again, so it's more Vonage. Next planning meeting, it's not over, is what, December, anyone, 12th? Why does that stick out in my head? 6th? I don't know.
And
Look it up.
that whole meeting last time, did anybody even bring up the pilot? It seemed like that wasn't even a topic. Yeah.
Now, for the special ed, I thought does the state cover give us a grant or give us some money? But does that not
You can
cover
get-
it?
Oh, no.
Most of it, or
No.
how much does it cover?
Dr. Lamoglia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
How much
feeds
does the
into the
state,
S2
like the
formula?
state formula to give us money towards special ed students? Like, it's a tiny percent, right? Yeah, most of this is just on,
5-10% or 50%? Or
depends on the student and the services. So for instance, like, if I have because I work in there, right? We have to put in, they do a formula. They ask how many of our students are seen individually, how many have, so like the more impaired the student, the more money that the state will give for that one student. But it's not.
But it doesn't cover
ranges.
100%.
It does not.
like, does it cover 50% or even? I mean, like how much of it are we absorbing?
Dr. Lamoglia, would you mind coming up to the microphone? Thank you.
Sorry.
Because
But she did, Dr. Lamoglia like did some legwork for me, which was absolutely, because I plan on talking to the township committee about this and the impacts that have, you know, this has done. So
I think in the newsletter, we should
Part
put
of
the
it,
average
right.
cost per pupil as well, so people have some idea too. I know the community newsletter, I mean, yeah.
Just specific criteria when it comes to extraordinary aid services. So you'll only get a reimbursement for a student who's either being educated for 210 days or has a one-to-one paraprofessional or a one-to-one nurse. So it's not going to be a blanket statement that everyone gets services and everyone gets refunded. So, and that may vary. So and it also depends on whether they're in a private school for the disabled, a public school for the disabled. So there really is no guarantee, but it could be anywhere from 18% to maybe even as much as 50%. So it varies.
Not more than 50%. So it's a 50,000 cost per pupil that the state's expecting us to absorb then.
That's right.
right. It's a lot.
The funding formula is terrible.
Well, remember, we also have to pay for 130 students that leave to go to vocational schools for their tuition and transportation, which we should be getting.
The parents are paying taxes though.
Yeah,
So,
but
I
we
mean,
should still, we should still be getting, I think, some sort of relief from the county for that, because no other districts has that many students that we're also losing them. We're losing their enrollment. But again, it's another battle, you know, political battle that you gotta try to fight. But it's a significant amount, you know, every year. It all adds up. So, all right, well, we'll continue to chat about it. All right, we're gonna turn it over to another exciting financial conversation that's gonna be introduced to the community and to
Thanks, Dr.
the board. Thanks, Dr. Lamoglia.
So, I'll tee it up, maybe, Mr. Kim and I can sort of tag team this. We'll lateral to Mrs. Donnelly. So, while our facilities are in very good shape, there are also emerging needs in our buildings. One in particular is our roofs. Our roofs need to be replaced. Our buildings and grounds teams are constantly addressing leaks, constantly working with, vendors to come in, and they do a good job of playing whack-a-mole, if you will, and finding these things, but it's a never-ending battle. So that is one example of some of the physical plant improvements that really need to be done. And of course, the costs of replacing roofs on all of our schools is in the millions. It's obviously not something we could ever fund out of our capital reserve fund. New alarm systems, new PA systems, and then you start to talk about, well, if you're going out for a referendum, does it make sense to look at other things that could be poised for enhancements? So some of the things we've talked about are, for example, in the last referendum, it was in the original design to add on to the middle school in order that we could move the 6th grade into SATs and make it a true middle school, which tends to be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Right now, we sort of have this, this kind of not ideal amalgam at Indian Hill School of elementary students and middle school students. And that presents a number of challenges, including the fact that our 6th grade students, and while we've really tried to enhance our extracurricular offerings, sort of don't have that initial middle school experience that's so important, right? Additionally, so one of the thoughts and one of the proposals within a referendum that is under consideration would be to add on to SAT school, move the 6th grade into the middle school, and move the 3rd grade out of Village and into Indian Hill, making that a grades 3, 4, 5, and Village a pre-K through 2. What's another benefit of that? I think we presently have, at least 8 sections, if not 9 sections per grade level at Village School. That would free up 9 classrooms at Village School, which would represent 9 classrooms that we could add to our enterprise preschool program, which would, at that point, really, we'd be positioned to offer preschool to really our full preschool age population here in Holmdel. So that could satisfy and do a lot of enhancements that would really position this district for moving forward. Certainly, I think the administration understands that, particularly coming on the heels of conversation with such challenges financially, it can seem sort of disconnected and tone deaf to be talking about a referendum, but the reality of it is that we need to be thinking about how we are going to take care of these critical physical plan upgrade needs. Now, when you think about a referendum process, and I think really at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Donnelly or Mr. Trent to talk about what that timeline looks like. It's an extremely protracted timeline, due primarily to the fact that the state literally takes 3/4 of a year to get back to you on your referendum application, which is why we're having these conversations and why there's a time sensitivity to this. So Mrs. Donnelly, if you would just, or Mr. Trent, just speak to sort of the timeline for how a referendum sort of plays out.
Yep, yeah, I can do it. Yep. So the first point of the process is to actually award a professional services contract. We use Spiesel Architect as our architect of record, but we would need a separate award for that. At that point, they would start the process with the DOE documentation, which would take them probably about 2 to 3 months to pull all of that together. It's nothing. Then they have to submit our long-range facilities plan upgrade, which they would do probably around March of 26. And that's when the DOE would start their review. That could take us until July or at least maybe July for them to do that. And our referendum would be at the November 2026 election is ideal, or December 2026. Then we would get into the design phase of the actual projects. And then, the award of contracts, which requires bidding, for the construction and whatnot, hoping to end construction would be actually like 2029. One of the factors, other than the DOE being a lengthy process, is our solar panels. Those are expiring in February of 2027 as an incentive for solar companies. There are current tax incentives, and those will be expiring as well. So in order for us to attract some solar companies to replace the solar panels on our roofs, we would have to have the system up and running by December of 27. So that kind of crunches our timeline if we want to try to get the best incentives and for our solar replacement. So that's basically our timeline. So we would hope to put resolution and the proposal from our architect of record on the CAL meeting at December 10th for approval in order to keep that timeline moving.
Thank you, Ms. Donnelly. Mr. Kim, as chair of the B&G committee, anything you wanted to add on that?
So we've been, over the past year, compiling a wish list and items that need repair. So it's not going to be cheap. I think no one expects everything to last forever. And so we're got to this point where we are now. And again, this is going to take some time. So there's going to be ample opportunity for us to communicate with the community, get feedback, explain where we are in terms of our buildings. You know, I think a lot of us have heard that these things are not working in the buildings. And so it's because our staff is using, you know, every measure to save what we have right now. And so we're at the point where we have to do this. And I guess part of this is, are we going to pay full price as a community, or can we go to referendum and get some state funding? And that's going to be the conversation we have over the next year or so on the pricing and the economics of everything.
So I just want to say two things. So number one, at last year's NJSBA, which is our school board association, I attended a workshop that was called like, are you ready for the financial fiscal cliff or whatever, the fiscal cliff. And just to like, as perspective for anyone that is going to listen, basically when Governor Christie came in and capped at the 2% across, so prior to any cap, according to the workshop, prior to any cap, the average Board of Ed would raise taxes 6% in New Jersey. And then it got capped to 4%, and then it got capped under Christie to 2%. And once it hit 2%, that was basically salaries and benefits. And everybody in the state of New Jersey, rather than cut staff, the infrastructure really got ignored over the past, however many years that is, 10 plus years. And now we're seeing a lot of districts, including my own in Freehold Township, that, you know, have to go out to referendum to now do these things that are more structural. So when we talk about roofs, you know, and things like that. So it is poor timing when we talk about, you know, what a hole we're in, but it's almost a separate issue. And it's an issue that we're seeing across the state of New Jersey because of the 2% gap, and things have had to have been ignored over time.
And now that 2% doesn't even cover salaries and benefits.
100%. So, you know, I would like to say that there's, you know, a list on here that had been started to be created. And I would like to add to this list because
Add to it?
Yeah, well, because generally speaking, you make it like a super wish list, because the reality is that by the time you end up hopefully approving it and then go out to bid, the prices of everything could have gone up, and then you have to shrink down the list, right? But so you'd rather have the bigger list, and so that it encompasses a lot of things. And then, you know, if need be, things get cut based on whatever amount did get approved. So the two things that are not on this list, I think that we need to look at the Rogie Field bathrooms. And I think that windows aren't here. And I know that, I mean, in the meeting, Mr. Mann had discussed just like blinds, but I actually have some video of like a really bad storm and like literally the windows were leaking, like water was coming in through the windows here in the complex. And my daughter sent me a video like, this is crazy. So I think maybe not every building needs it, but maybe some do. I think that really does need to be looked at before we finalize the list. But if somebody could also just for everyone to know, these are things that the majority of these things, the majority are things that have to get done. The roof is not the HVAC. These are things that are really needed. If we go out to referendum and it passes, could somebody speak to the percent that is potentially covered by the state in that?
That's what actually I wanted to ask, because Ray, you said that, I know we talked at the meeting that there's advantages to referendum, but for whoever wants to listen now, and just for clarification, if you can exactly say what the funding is.
I don't know the funding on every project, yet,
No, but like if it's a
majority-
$10 million project, isn't it like 30%,
Well, it's
40%?
usually 40%.
40%, so they
Right,
can
not
cover
for
up
new-
to.
That's for alterations, not for new construction. That would be much lower, which we don't know the percentage.
So if it's
Okay.
alterations and on a referendum, then they cover 40%. If we had to do something on our own, then they would do that, like just one-on-one if you had to.
Right,
cover
if you did
50%.
an addition or something, then it would not be as 40%.
Up to 40%, right? Not
It's
guaranteed.
up to- The architect thinks most would be.
Oh, okay.
I think it's pretty close, but just, we say up to,
Yeah.
because what if it's 38% or something, I mean,
What-
but it's, but that's the benefit of going to referendum, because otherwise, like, if it fails and we still need roofs, like, it still has to get done and that has to be found from money somewhere, but now none of it, 100% would be paid for us in piecemeal.
Right.
Versus just doing the whole referendum.
I think we should put that number in that newsletter too, because I mean, these numbers keep piling up.
We don't
I
have
think
a
people
number.
should know, but no, I think that the advantage of the referendum is that up to 40% for alterations can be covered at least,
What about I mean, if this is going to be a wish list here, I was thinking about the new sound system, because, especially in Indian Hill, I'm only speaking to that because we did that kind of piecework, patchwork type of thing
So-
last year, so.
Those projects were in our MCIA financing for this year, so those are moving forward for both the Indian Hill and the complex.
Village doesn't need it, just again, thinking here.
And what I'm thinking is, and by the way, I just have to, I have to acknowledge, and Board Member Tassilo is right. Districts have found themselves hard pressed to invest in infrastructure. I mean, this district did, right? With Holmdel 2020, but there's still work to do, right? I mean, there's a lot of facilities, a lot of square footage, a lot of mechanicals. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, for previous boards, in getting that done, that was pretty impressive when considering the financial challenges and amidst COVID and all that. I'm thinking it's probably a good idea to put out some form of some information, some high-level information to the community about this in advance of December 10th, as well as putting out a survey and gathering some feedback from with giving them information as to what's being proposed, as well as soliciting from our community any needs that they think that, just so we can make it a little bit more of an inclusive process and give our community an opportunity to weigh in. I think there could be some value to that.
It also should go out to all taxpayers, not just the school community. So I don't know how the message could get out to.
No, but in terms of improvements for the school.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
Because their kids are in the school, they're seeing,
So
they're
they're
living
Yeah,
inside of the
But are you
school.
looking
so,
for
yeah.
them to?
But
provide feedback
ultimately,
on what
the
they
whole
feel-
town
how they
votes
feel
on it.
about
Yes.
this?
They'll have that opportunity at the polls. And obviously, if we move forward with this, there's going to have to be, and this will really fall, really primarily to the administration, is definitely very much of a public relations and marketing and advertising campaign around this, getting into the community, selling it, helping people understand why it's needed. That'll be critical. There'll be the whole process around that'll be needed.
End up paying money for referendum and some 12% more in taxes.
Yeah.
A lot of bad
Well,
news.
and that's like, my response is, to people that I have spoken to who's said, just raise the taxes, is I won't go and do that on top of knowing that there's a referendum coming. I feel a certain way because I know that this is also coming and we can't help it from coming.
Yep.
So, and I think that, it was actually my discussions with Dr. Cascone, like I've been talking about trying to get sixth grade back at SETS for quite some time. And I see it as really a win-win because, when Chris and I were here, I don't know, John, where did you go to middle school? Was sixth grade still at SETS? So, it's a different experience. And now you have kids in sixth grade that are there to experience more of what the complex has to offer and the sports and, I think there's a lot to have the middle school all together because even now the sixth grade, they're trying to incorporate and they're really working on their own schedule in comparison to the fourth and fifth graders. Like it's really, Miss Vitale has done a great job. She's gone, but that's okay. She's done a great job at trying to balance it all, but having them all together back, shifting third to the now into what would be an intermediate school allows for preschool, right? And that goes to early childhood education and the foundation to help build everything else. And it's just, now there's even things with the state. We were just learning about new things on the dyslexia stuff starting in preschool. So, that this is all, it's all beneficial to everyone in the end. So.
And you've been talking about this for quite some time. Maybe we haven't talked about it in public because this is the timeline, but this is really an opportunity for the community to do something. We're going to have to do these repairs. So we should, make lemonade with lemons type of situation here and do our best.
What's outside of the solar panels? What's dire straits that like needs to get done over the next year?
Well, aside from the roofing, which includes the solar panels. which we
Okay.
would hope to do like a lease or something that was really not costing us anything,
Mhm.
solar, but the HVAC replacement.
So the first two bullet points are must.
Most of our HVAC is original
So
to the buildings.
look, talking about a 12% increase because of a structure that is not working for this district, because that's the root cause. So if that's not going to be fixed, you're just going to continue to have deficits, exorbitant deficits just on the operations of the school. And then to shift gears and have a conversation after that about a possible $75 million referendum doesn't sit well with me. I understand that there's some dire straits, but why can't we just focus on the first two bullet points for next year? And until the district is balanced structurally and we can hopefully get to a place where it works for everybody, then start looking into these items, because we have so much that needs to be done. There's such a gap in that structure that to just shift and say, oh, we've got to upgrade all of this stuff. I mean, I would vote no. I would say that this is.
Do these questions, I think we would have two separate groupings, right? One that is infrastructure and probably safety and security and health, right? And that's the dire straits. And then the other grouping.
Well, we have to somehow break that up then for December 12th.
No, but
10th,
you
I
can,
feel like.
you can do that. Like in my district, I mean, they straight up went 131 million, straight up 131 million, and it did pass in Freehold Township. But had it failed, their plan was to break it into two and say 100 million for the HVAC, roofing, windows, and then 30 million for security, because that's all that 131 million was buying in Freehold Township, right? So infrastructure and security. So they were if it had failed, they would then go out a second time and break it so that, maybe you're willing to do the 100 million of infrastructure, but not the 30 million of security. Ultimately, they didn't have to do that.
Why not just talk
So-
about the roofing and the HVAC?
Well, that's what, so Deb is saying, we can break it into two. This
What's
is
the estimate on
necessity.
those two costs? Just
Well,
those.
that's why we have to go out to RFP. That's, we
I
have
would
to.
say that the fire alarm sprinklers and security,
And if windows are needed,
And-
like
and
I'd like
also
to actually really look at the windows if that's needed.
We have to begin this process, it's like price discovery, right? We have to go and do it.
Well, no, I get that, but I would also just focus on doing what's absolutely necessary. So that 75 million could come down substantially and say, all right, like, we just got to take it each year, focus on okay, we've hit the end of the life. We've got to do something. But it seems like there was a couple end of the lives and then that's money. It's just hard to talk about.
How often can you go out for a referendum? I mean, no, right?
I don't know offhand, I have to research it, but I don't believe there's a restriction. You obviously are restricted if you want to use the November date to once a year, but you can also call a special election for referendum. But I don't, I have to research it all.
Yeah, I see where Chris is coming from, and I sort of agree with that. If we can have is there an advantage to having an entire wish list and then saying, and then getting the estimate, and then we're going to cut it down? Or should we just look at the things that are absolutely necessary and a couple of years later take another referendum? Is there advantage to one versus the other?
Well, the advantage is just not going after the taxpayer for too much.
Right,
They're
and that's
already
what I-
going to get hit.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
There's merit to breaking it up.
Of the school.
Right, I would say for the taxpayer, breaking it up is better, but is there an advantage to doing, at least getting an estimate? That's what we're asking for, right? Getting an estimate.
The only thing to consider is that, and there's nothing scientific about this, but sometimes having a little sizzle in the referendum helps with selling it, right? As necessary and important as roofs and HVAC are, there's not a lot of sizzle there to get people excited. So, but what we can certainly do in advance of the 10th is, take a look at the list. Obviously we'll stay connected with you, Mr. Kim, as chair, and bifurcate the list into essentials and wish lists. I mean, obviously a big portion of that 75 million would be the SATS project. I mean, that's a big nut, for that project.
And think about, remember, let's just right size this too, because the the Crawford's Corner Road project, that initial kind of planning was done well before it was actually executed. So it's not like we time out of these plans. I mean, once we have them, and then we can kind of action them.
That's true.
Whenever, right?
That's
So,
true.
I mean, similar
Right.
fashion that.
We've already said perhaps it's 2029, right? But it even could be 2030 that everything is completed. So but if you think about it, like, yeah, every 10 years, infrastructure, right? Like, so the last one started in 2000, maybe 16, and it was the 2020 referendum because that was the completion date, so we're talking again, so like even 10 years later, here we are planning for infrastructure. And I think that there are a good number of people in town that would like to see sixth grade back at SATS. They'd like to see preschool expanded in our town because it costs a ridiculous amount of money for daycare, preschool, and so I think that's when, right, it's up to the public, and it's either it passes or it doesn't.
Is it possible to get a referendum and say that we will split it over 2 years? This is how much it costs, and we're going to do, charge take 50% now, 50% next year.
It has to be bonded at once, right? I mean, at the end of the
My
day.
understanding has to be bonded at once, but your tax hit is spread over a longer period because of that. It's not like all the money, correct?
Yes.
Spread over what period
Is
of
it
time?
30 years? It's a long period, as I recall.
I think our last one is over 25.
25 years.
So what do you mean? Can you explain that? So my
So-
taxes are not going to go up right away?
It's a bond instead of like a direct tax increase. You're paying, you're essentially having the voters approve bonding for the project. So the bond pays for it upfront, and then the bond is paid off over a number of years.
How
So
much
it's like
would it
taking a
cost-
mortgage
cost
out.
me?
Exactly.
Short-term, it's a short-term loan, but it's not short-term.
But
for
how much
20
does it
it's-
cost the taxpayer? Like,
It depends on how much it
Like
depends on what
Well,
we're asking.
when,
Depends on the bond rate, it depends on the total number of the
Over
project.
25 years, it's
Correct.
spread out.
And I don't know if it's always 25 years, I don't have to
20
take
or
discretion, but
something.
it's a long period.
So long term.
And when Mrs. Donnelly, for example, you sitting through budget presentations, you've heard the term debt service, right? And that's essentially, there's a portion of our budget that goes to paying the debt service, which is essentially paying for previous bonds, right? And then that gets figured into the operational budget. Yeah.
They're not getting hit with it all at once anyway.
And just to caution, there are some restrictions on the district's ability to advocate for one side or the other. So we need to discuss those to make sure we don't run afoul, but that's a problem for another day.
So I think Mr. Kim, Mrs. Donald, I mean, we can certainly be prepared, for December 10th to sort of bifurcate it, easily enough. And, really get you that information in advance of the 10th, not unlike the information Mrs. Tusella requested, because you sort of needed in advance, to discuss on the 10th in order to, if the board decides to move forward on the 17th.
All right.
So
Good initial conversation.
So just my one last question is, so we have to spend money on this, on Spiesel's work, right? The proposal. And so we'll put it out there.
So
Yeah.
if you, I mean, in reading through the proposal, right, the initial design phase cost that is in the proposal of the 59,000, that gets credited to phase 2 if you continue to employ Spiesel, right? If you
Gotcha.
decide you didn't want to use Spiesel as professional service going forward, then that's a sunk cost, right? Or not sunk, but they were only involved in that design phase. Otherwise, it gets credited to phase 2.
Okay.
All right. So we'll pick that up on December 10th. All right. I guess we're up to new business. I guess that we basically just did that. All right. So questions or comments from the public? All right. No executive session. So all in favor of adjournment?
Well, move.
Move. Roll call.
No, we're all good to say aye.
All good. Say aye.
Yep, good.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.